Hello guys, how are you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to another interesting tutorial. In this video, we are going to learn how to take a proper measurement, full measurement. You understand? The measurement you can use to draft any type of dress. So it's called full measurement. So let's get started. The first thing you are going to do is to locate the true waistline of the person you are measuring. So your true waistline simply means 2 inches above your belly button. That is your true waistline. Okay, you can see I've used my bias tape to secure her true waistline. All you have to do is to get a bias tape or something that you can use to secure their waistline, and you ask the person where is their belly button. Okay, so when they show you their belly button, you come up by 2 to 3 inches above their belly button. That is their true waistline. So I've secured the true waistline. Okay, so after securing the true waistline, what you are going to measure is the front length. Okay, and this is how you are going to measure the front length. So from the nape of their neck, so don't go and start from the shoulder, you start from the nape of their neck. Okay, across the bust, then down to that place you tied your bias tape. So whatever you get, that is their front length. So the next thing you are going to measure is their back length. So front and back length are not always the same. The front length is always bigger than the back length. That is because you have the bust at the front length. Then the back length, you don't have anything at the back. So the difference between the front and back length is because you have the bust at the front length, and that is why it's always bigger than the back length. So let me show you guys how you are going to measure the back length. So you are going to measure from the nape of their neck. So where you have bone at the nape of their neck, you place your tape there down to where you tie your bias. That is your back length. So for the front length we got 15, and her back length we get 13. So the difference between her front length and back length is 2 inches. Okay, so the next measurement we are going to measure is her bust circumference, and this is how you are going to measure your bust circumference. You are going to wrap the tape round her bust. Okay, you make sure that it's not too tight. You make sure that you can move it like so, but it shouldn't be too loose nor too tight. And you also make sure that this tape is sitting on her bra. You understand? Don't let your tape to be below. Just make sure it's on that place her bra hook is. Okay, and that is how you are going to take your bust circumference. So the next measurement we have is the under bust circumference, and this is how you are going to take your under bust circumference. You wrap the tape round her under bust. So the under bust circumference is usually tight, not too tight. Okay, you measure it tight but not too tight. Okay, then the next measurement we have here is the under bust length. So you are going to measure it from the nape of her neck down to her under bra wire. Okay, so this is how to measure your under bust length. The next measurement we have here is the bust point. Okay, so from the nape of the neck down to her nipple point, that is how to measure the bust point. So the next measurement we have is the bust radius. The bust radius from the nipple point down to under her bust, where her under bra wire stop. That is how you are going to get your bust radius. Of course, there are many other ways to get your bust radius, okay, but this is one of them. So the next measurement we have is bust span. Okay, so bust span, you simply measure a nipple to nipple point. Okay, so you can measure her bust span and divide it by 2. That is you got your bust radius. Okay, so the next thing we are going to measure is the shoulder measurement. So her shoulder measurement, you simply put your tape from one shoulder point to the other shoulder point. Okay, so you can see how I'm measuring it. So you put the tape from one shoulder point to the other shoulder point. You will notice there is a bone here. Just make sure you place your tape on that bone to the other bone. You get your shoulder measurement. And the next measurement is the round shoulder measurement. You simply wrap your tape round the shoulder like this. So the round shoulder measurement should not be too tight nor too loose. It should be firm. Okay, yeah. So the next measurement we have here is the arm measurement. Arm measurements, you normally use it to sew an off-shoulder dress. So this is how you to take your arm measurement. You simply place the tape from this point over to this point. I hope you get it. So from this point, from one arm point, okay, to the other arm point at the front. So it's simply taking your measurement from this point over to this point. I will show you guys again. So from one arm point over to the other arm point. So this is how to take the arm measurements. Okay, I know you guys are not conversant with that. Of course you will be learning new things on my channel. All right, so the next measurement is the biceps circumference. The biceps circumference is also known as the round arm measurement. Okay, some people might not understand that English, biceps circumference. So on a layman's tone is the round arm measurement. Okay, so you simply tell the person to fold their hand. This is for you to be able to measure their arm measurements correctly, because if you measure their arm when they are keeping their arm like this, by the time you sew it and they want to fold their hand like this, if it's a fabric that is not stretchy, it might be too tight for them. So you simply tell them to put their hand on the waist and you measure their round arm like this. Okay, so it should be fitted, not tight. So by the time they keep their hand like this, you can see it's moving around. Okay, so this is how to measure your round arm or bicep circumference. So the next measurement is the elbow circumference. You also tell the person to keep their hand on the waist and you measure it. It should be tight. Once they keep their arm on their waist, it should be tight, so that by the time they keep their hands like this, you can see it can move freely. You can see. But if you go and measure their elbow circumference like this, if they want to keep their hands like this, it won't match. Okay, you guys are learning new things. All right, so the next is the wrist circumference. You simply tell the person to keep their hands like this and you measure the wrist circumference. This is for the person you are sewing for to be able to put their hand, because if you go ahead and measure this, if it's a cloth that is not stretchy, the person might not be able to fit in their hand. So once you measure this, it covers for everything, and you normally use this measurement when you are sewing a cloth that is not stretchy. But if you are sewing something like a mesh or a stretchy fabric, you can go ahead and use this measurement. I hope you understand that. So the next one is the sleeve length to elbow. Okay, so you simply place the measurement from the shoulder point here down to her elbow line. So this is it. Then the next is the sleeve length to wrist. So from this shoulder point, you also take the measurement to stop at this bone here. That is where your sleeve length to wrist should end. Then the next is her waist circumference. So you notice this place that I tied this bias tape to measure around it. Okay, so it should be fitted. It should not be too tight, it should not be too loose. Then the next measurement we have is the hip circumference. So you simply wrap the tape round her hip like so. You make sure that this tape accommodates both her hip and her butt. Okay, so you make sure you can move it up and down. Okay, it should not be too loose, it should not be too tight. You make sure that you get all these measurements and also here when measuring the hip circumference. So the next measurement is the side waist to knee. So you simply measure, put your tape from this point, you tie your bias down to her knee, that is your side waist to knee. Then your side waist to ankle, you also place your tape from this bias point down to this place you have bone here, that is her side waist to ankle. Then side waist to floor, from this point down to the floor, that is her side waist to floor. So if you want to get the full length of the person, all you have to do is to simply add up the front length and the side waist to floor. That is the full length of the person you are sewing for. So you don't have to just go and measure the full length like this. It might not give you the accurate full length. If you want to get the accurate full length, just add together the front length and the side waist to floor. That will give you the accurate full length. Alright guys, I hope you guys learned a new thing in this video. If you've not subscribed to my channel, kindly do so. It will really mean a lot to me. Also click on the notification bell if you've not done so that you get notified whenever I post a new video. Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you have any question, kindly drop it on the comment section below. I will reply to that. Okay.